Hari Hari, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज भागवतम की जय। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु।
Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण। We can start, Prabhu. It's 9:30.
Yes.
Just to share the screen.
If you can do it, it will be good. Or
You want us to share the screen, Prabhu?
1 second. Yeah, okay. I think if you can do it, then it will be good.
Okay, Prabhuji. Rohini Mataji has joined. I don't think. I will share the screen, Prabhu. Give me a minute.
It's okay, right? Or you want me only to do it?
I can do that, Prabhu. Rohini Mataji normally does that, but I'll do it today. Hare Krishna. Give me a minute.
Sure. Okay, so Hare Krishna to everyone. Dandavats pranams. So welcoming you all for this start of the wonderful week, Monday. So the Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We'll continue with our Shrimad Bhagavatam discussions. Okay. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Avadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatam Aham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So today we are looking at the chapters or the chapter 9. So we'll be looking at 6 shlokas 35 to 40. So that is what has been given for today. So we'll discuss that. So the ninth chapter, as you all know, is titled Dhruva Maharaj Returns Home. So we'll just discuss further on that. Yeah, I can see some devotees who are volunteering. So in case you want to read the shloka as well as the purport, not purport, the translation, then you can raise your hand, and accordingly then we can take turns. Each one of you can read. So I'll start with the first one. So 4.9.35. Is my voice okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Sudha Mataji, you call out the names, please.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. So thank you, Mataji, for sharing the verses. And yeah, the voice is okay, I think, right? You said yes. Okay. So 35, yeah. Swarajyam yachato maudhyan mano me bhikshito bata ishvarachina punyena palikharan ivadanaha. So the meaning, the translation, if we could just go down a little bit, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Just a minute. I'll have to again share it. There's some issue.
Okay.
Is it okay now?
We are yet to see, at least I'm yet to see it. Yeah, it's come up now. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, sorry for the interruption. I think two of you are sharing the screen. looks like that because it's
Is
saying.
it Rohini Mataji is also shared? Then I'll.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll stop sharing. Hare Krishna, Rohini Mataji. Yeah, she's there.
Just a minute, Mataji. I'll just start screen.
Yes, Mataji.
If you can make me the co-host, then I can do it myself, if that's okay.
I'll make you the co-host, Prabhu, but Mataji will share the screen. I'll still make you the co-host.
Okay.
Mataji,
Hare Krishna.
35.
35, Mataji.
Next one, yes.
Sorry, Prabhuji, about the delay. Some issue with the laptop. Sorry.
No worries. Thank you so much for your service. So we just did the verse, Swarajyam. Okay, now we'll do the translation. Or Mataji, I'm sorry, if you could just go up for the verse, so then somebody wants to read, they can do. And then the translation also. Anyone who's reading the verse can also do the translation together. No need to have different people.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you want us to read the purport? No, right?
Not the purport, only the translation.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Anusuya Mataji, you can read the sloka and translation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Pranams.
Krishna.
Swarajam yachato maudhyam manomi vikshito bata ishvarashina punyena palikaran ivadanaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Because of my state of complete foolishness and paucity of pious activities, although the Lord offered me of his personal service, I wanted material name, fame, and prosperity. My case is just like that of the poor man who, when he satisfied a great emperor who wanted to give him anything he might ask, out of ignorance asked only a few broken grains of husked rice. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So the next verse. So we have 5 more to go. Yeah, one after another we can do. Yes. So
Hare Krishna, is the screen visible?
the screen is visible now. So the next devotee can read.
Hare Krishna, Soma Mataji, read the sloka and Archana Mataji, the translation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, 1 minute. Both will be read by one person only.
Okay. Soma Mataji, you read the
Yes,
sloka
Mataji.
and the translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranams.
Hare
Maitreya
Krishna.
Uvacha न वै मुकुन्दस्य पदारविन्दयो रजो जुषस्तता भवादृशा जना वाञ्छन्ति तद्दास्यं ऋतेऽर्थम् आत्मनो यदृच्छया लब्धमनः समृद्धयः. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The great sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, persons like you who are pure devotees of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can offer liberation, and who are always attached to the honey of his lotus feet, are always satisfied in serving at the lotus feet of the Lord. In any condition of life, such persons remain satisfied, and thus they never ask the Lord for material prosperity. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So the next one, verse
Hare
35.
Krishna, Archana Mataji, you can read the sloka and translation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Prabhu. Akarmyatmajam ayantam samparetya yadagatam rajana shraddhade bhadram abhadrasya kudo mama. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When King Uttanapada heard that his son Dhruva was coming back home, as if coming back to life after death, he could not put his faith in this message, for he was doubtful of how it could happen. how he considered himself the most wretched, and therefore he thought that it was not possible for him to attain such good fortune. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sarika Mataji, you can read the shloka and translation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. श्रद्धाया वाक्यं देवर्षेर् हर्षवेगेन धर्षितः वार्ताहर्तोरतिप्रीतो हारं प्रादान्महाधनम्. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Although he could not believe the words of the messenger, he had full faith in the word of the great sage Narad. Thus, he was greatly overwhelmed by the news, and he immediately offered the messenger a highly valuable necklace in great satisfaction. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji, you can read the shloka and the translation. Hare Krishna.
तद् अश्वं रथम् अर्युः कर्ता स्वरपरीक्षितं ब्रह्मणि कुलवृद्धिश्च पर्यस्तोत् मात्यबुद्धिभिः शङ्खादुन्दुभिः नद्या ब्रह्मणा घोषेण वेणुभिः निश्चकाम पुरातन आत्मजा भीक्ष रोत्सुकः. Translation and translation by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Then King Uttanapada, being very eager to see the face of the lost son, mounted a chariot drawn by excellent horses and bedecked with golden filigree, taking him with many learned brahmanas, all the elderly personalities of his family, his officers, his ministers, and his immediate friends. He immediately left the city. As he proceeded in the parade, there was auspicious sound of conch shells, kettle drums, flutes, and the chanting of Vedic mantras to indicate all good fortune. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you all devotees for this. So now we'll try to understand these 6 shlokas for today. So before we get started, Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschayata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So seeking from all the devotees here, I'm seeking the blessings so that I'll be able to do some justice to this entire set of verses that we are discussing today. So very nice, important verses. As usual, every verse is very important, but it becomes very important for us today because we are discussing it. And kindly bless me so that the right words come at the right time in the right spirit. I'm doing this as a service to the Guru Parampara for the pleasure of the Lordships and for my own purification. Hare Krishna. So, 9th chapter, we are seeing how Dhruva Maharaj is actually returning home. Now, in the 35th verse, what is happening? There is some amount of lamentation that is happening or repentance that is happening by Dhruva Maharaj. And what is the situation? Like you all know, I mean, we know, I mean, if you look at it a little longer, just to get that continuity, Boy Dhruva, he went to the forest, then he was in deep meditation, so we are aware of that. And then this meditation was so deep and intense that it caused some anxiety to the demigods. So why it caused anxiety? Because he had stopped the breathing process and thereby the air movement was not there. It was very hot. It was not very livable for the people because the nature or the earth, water, fire, they were all not doing in the way they have to. So it created a lot of disturbance for everybody across the worlds. And this created a lot of anxiety to the demigods. So what did they do? They went to Lord Vishnu. So I have a quick question. So which Vishnu they went to? You all know there are 3 types of Vishnus. Anybody would like to answer?
Kshirodakashayi Vishnu.
Shirodakasai Vishnu. So where is Shirodakasai Vishnu situated?
In the Kshirsagar.
Kshirodakasha ocean.
In our heart.
In our heart, he is
In our heart
situated,
is Paramatma.
right? Yes, but he is also lying in the causal ocean, which is the
Causal.
material world. I mean, not causal ocean, in the Shira Sagara.
Sagar of this material.
Yeah, in the material world. So there they go, because all this is happening in the material world. So he goes to, they all go to this Vishnu, and then Vishnu assures them that he will take care of this particular inconvenience. He knew why it was happening. He knew about the intense worship of Dhruva. And so he says he will take care. And then immediately he sets out. Then he to the forest where Lord Dhruva is meditating. So he sits on Garudadev and then he gets him there. So now to get boy Dhruva out of his meditation, the Lord actually removes the image of himself. Actually in meditation, obviously Dhruva is very oblivious to what is happening, all the activities that were happening in the background we just spoke of now. So he's in his deep meditation with his eyes closed and he's actually seeing the image of the Lord in his mind. And that image is removed after the Lord reaches the place where, reaches in front of Dhruva. Then when that image goes away for him, then immediately now he is wondering what happened. Why did the Lord suddenly disappear away from my mind? And then his trance is broken. Then he opens his eyes. But then when he opens his eyes, what does he see? He sees the same Lord, the same image that he had seen in his mind, he is seeing here in front of him, direct. So then he is now, there are a lot of this thing that happens, his body undergoes a lot of changes or a lot of agitation. So here the word, they use this word that he gets agitated, but in a very good way. We are also agitated, but we are agitated in not a very good way. So why this is good? Because he is seeing the Lord. And then he offers obeisances. He immediately falls flat, and then Dandavats he does, and then he gets up. He's a 5-year-old boy. He's in ecstasy. So he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to speak. He wants to do a lot of things, but he is not able to do. His speech is failing him. It's a very awkward moment for him. So this ecstasy, one of the acharyas, they were describing, because we, at least I have no clue what this ecstasy is all about. So in an ecstasy, what happens is all the senses want to do all the activities at once. And so there is some amount of confusion that is created, or there is some, there is some amount of awkwardness that is created. And that awkwardness it can be seen or felt. So this is what Dhruva Maharaj is feeling. And but he knows what to do. He knows that he has to pay obeisances, he has to glorify the Lord, but he is not able to do those. Mind is clear, but then his body or the senses are not catching up with him to do that. He's not able to speak, and that kind of a thing. So the Lord then understands this, and then he mercifully touches him. So how does the Lord touch him?
With his conch shell.
With the conch shell. Yeah. So the Lord always is carrying the Shanku, the Chakra, the Gada, and then the Padma. So we wouldn't want to be touched by the Chakra or the Gada. So he's touched by the Shank or the conch shell. And the moment the Lord touches him with the conch shell, then immediately there is a transformation that happens. And there it is told that Dhruva Maharaj, he felt enlivened. All his senses became rejuvenated. And especially the power of speech. So while all the senses, including the power of speech. And then he at once understood a lot of things. He understood the position of the Lord, how he is supreme. And then he understood the nature of the Lord, how he is merciful. And he also understood his own position with respect to the Lord. So everything in one go became very clear to him. So he became a fully self-realized personality, or God-realized personality. So that is why, sometimes we use both these words are used interchangeably. Self-realization is God-realization. Sometimes you would have heard people say, but that doesn't mean self is God. I mean, that's a wrong conclusion. Anyway, so self-realization and God-realization go together, because just self-realization without God-realization is not the correct realization. So if we know our real self, then we will know the position of Lord and we will know the relationship. This whole thing is a package, or it has to be understood collectively together. Or God realization, then God, and then me with respect to the God, who am I, and then what is the relationship. So this is together always. So this is complete realization. And then he had this particular realization by the mercy of the Lord. So that is why it is said that he knew the position of the Lord, he knew his own position, and also he knew the nature of the Lord and the relationship that exists between him and the Lord. So because he knew all of this, he immediately started glorifying the Lord. So because that is the only activity we as realized souls have, and that's the only activity that we need to do, which is glorifying the Lord. So immediately they praise. So all devotees, you can see, the moment they get this realization, they praise the Lord. The praise will be in terms of kirtans, in terms of spontaneous singing that happens. All the spontaneity and other things that we talk about is all because of the mercy of the Lord. Because the Lord either mercifully glances, or mercifully touches the forehead with the conch, or shakes hand, or embraces. So what is the situation where the Lord went about liberating people by hugging them or embracing them? Anybody remembers?
Lord Rama, Prabhuji.
Lord Rama, okay, but I was looking for another answer.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thank you so much. Yeah, so when he came to South India, you know how he went on without any criteria. He was so merciful. So without any criteria, he went around hugging people on the streets, and each one who was hugged were liberated. Liberated means what? They were liberated from the bodily concept of life. They became self-realized. They became God-realized. They were filled with happiness. They didn't, liberated means they didn't, it doesn't mean that they gave up their body and they died or anything like that. So they immediately knew their position. And there's this change that came over them. And that change is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita so wonderfully. So in this way, we can understand how the Lord, by his mercy, then goes about giving us the right consciousness. So if we have some amount of right consciousness, that's only because of the mercy of the Lord. So actually, then what happens? They start to glorify. What did Dhruva Maharaj do? He started to glorify the Lord, and this pleased the Lord. Now we might think like the Lord, you glorify the Lord, then he became pleased. This is understanding at one level. Another level of understanding is that the Lord has given us the strength. He is the one who gives us the intelligence. He is the one who gives us the enlivenment that happened for Dhruva Maharaj now and all of that. So when he is mercifully giving all that, and then in our human bodies, he has given us certain capabilities with respect to strength, intelligence, etc. When that is used to glorify him, he is pleased, because that is our original position. So the Lord is pleased to see that we are well situated in our original position. It is like the owner of a factory, he is taking a walk in the factory, and then he sees everybody is doing what they are supposed to do. He is pleased by that. He is more pleased when the person is doing what he or she is supposed to do in the factory, rather than leave everything and then come and then do namaskaram for him and all of that. So that's one aspect, that's okay. But then when he sees they are properly situated and then doing their job, then it pleases him very much. So in this way, the Lord is very pleased. And then the Lord actually is also training in one way, like, he is to serve him, so he is giving that intelligence and that remembrance that there is a relationship between you and me where both of us can be very happy eternally. So that is the point that the Lord is trying to bring forth to the fallen souls, to the forgotten souls, or the souls who have forgotten their position. So this is like the father trying to train the son, to serve him. So the father is not happy with the service, but he is happy with the aspect that the son is aligned. And then, and it is for his own good. So there are life lessons that are being taught by this particular service that happens. So this way, the father is happy. Not that the father is happy because the son is serving me. Oh, okay, now I have one son, he will serve me very well. No, it's not like that. So, and actually, what the Lord is giving is more than what he takes. So he might take, even if you look at it from that way, he might take these glorifications. So it might look like he pleased because of that. But then it is not a one-way street. It's a paraspara sambandha. There is a two-way. So there's a reciprocation that happens from the Lord. And the Lord's reciprocation is not in equal measures. So it's not like, okay, you did this, I give you this. No, it is costless, and then it is manifold. 1,000-fold, 100,000-fold, the mercy. That's how when we have these special days, the Damodar month and all that, our acharyas say that the mercy of the Lord is 100 times, 1,000 times, 100,000 times, and all of that. So like that, the Lord is always very merciful, and he gives back more, much more than what we give him. And that's how then the Lord became pleased with Dhruva. But then after he is pleased, then Lord Dhruva completes the prayer where he is glorifying the Lord. He is talking about his position, how he is the supreme, he is everything, he is all in all. And that's the Sambandha Jnana that we talk about. So he has a perfect understanding of the position of the Lord. And then what happens? The Lord, after he completes his glorification by way of verses, then the Lord is very pleased, and then the Lord now knows what is in Dhruva's mind or in his heart. So he benedicts him accordingly based on what he wanted or what he set out in the first place to get. He came in search of the Lord because he wanted certain things, certain material things. Now he benedicts him, and then he leaves and goes. So this benediction that he got, which is about the Dhruvatara, means you go ahead, you'll become the king, then your brother will die because of some accident, all those things like a prophecy. Then the Lord is telling him, then what happens to his mother, what happens to his stepmother, what happens to his father, and then how many years he's going to rule. And then he also says that after finishing your term here in the material world or in the earth planet, then you will also take a position which is higher than the position of Lord Brahma also, which is at Dhruvatara or the pole star, where the position we know is much higher. And then he says that you live there till the end of the world, end of creation, like the end of Brahma's age. And then you will come to me. So this is how the benediction is given to Lord Dhruva, Dhruva Maharaj. And actually, he should have felt very happy, but then there is another emotion that takes over where he becomes a little repentful. Why he is repenting? Because now he knows what the truth is. And because he understands what the truth is, he realizes that he asked for something very, very mundane, very, very stupid. So I didn't have the intelligence to ask for the right thing. And then whatever I desired, then the Lord gave. Sometimes our acharyas say that don't go and then ask, because we don't know what to ask also. We might end up asking something and then he might fulfill it, and then we might end up not liking it. So this is a very typical example of that. And that we are seeing here in this particular pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, where he gets it and then he is not very happy and he is repentful. And then why this repentance happened? Because the Lord benedicted him something more than just what he set out to desire. How many of you agree to this? At one level, if you look at it, it looks like the Lord gave what he wanted and then he left. because that is what he had desired for. But then he gave him more than what he wanted. How many of you agree to that? You can raise your hand. So what is it that he gave more? The extra? Anybody wants to try? What is that extra that he gave him? We just said, no, we concluded that the Lord gives more than what we generally seek or ask.
Devotional
Love
service.
of God.
Yeah,
Love of
he gave
God.
him love of God, he gave him realization, he gave him self-realization, he gave him God realization, he gave him the complete jnana, sambandha jnana. And then because of that, all the other things began to look very pale. He takes that reference. What does he say? Like, actually, he says, what I thought were precious things actually turned out to be pieces of glass. I thought they are very valuable. What? The position, in the material world, all of that. He thought that's the best thing to have. He thought these were real gems for me. But then suddenly now his view changed. It looks like pieces of glass to me now. That's all is the value that they have. So he didn't want it. So this particular jnana or the intelligence is given by the Lord, which is that extra benefit that he gives. And then he realizes that it's such a great achievement actually he has done. If you look at it from whichever angle, material angle or whatever, he set out to seek out the Lord at a very young age, 5-year-old boy. Nobody goes to the forest. Then he went. Then he did some Herculean things. Tivra, intense tapas he did, which is generally not done by anyone. It is like somebody, like a 5-year-old cracking in, if you have to compare in the material world, it's like cracking the toughest exam that a student or a man has, probably the IIT or whatever, So it's like that. It's such a wonderful feat that he has performed. And the comparison is that he knows that all the munis, the rishis, they practice for thousands of years to get to have the darshan of the Lord. And I have done it in 6 months so quickly. When I did all this, but I'm so unfortunate. Look at what have I done after I saw the Lord? Then I just desired material things. And then he gave me that, he benedicted that, and then he went away. So it looks a little not a very good situation. But then our acharyas elsewhere have explained very wonderfully. They said, like in Chaitanya Bhagavat, if you see there, we know the Lord protects. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Name Bhaktya Pranashyati. Declare it boldly, Arjuna, that my devotee will not perish. So now, what does that mean? Perish? Or even in that other one, Ananyas Chintayantam, where he says, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. I protect what you've got and I give, or I carry what you don't have. Like I'll give you what you don't have and I'll protect what you have. So this Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Many instances we'll see the Lord speaking in this way. And there are very numerous examples. But one relevant one is in Chaitanya Bhagavat, where the Lord is saying that people come to me. We know that there are 4 types of people who come. So, Artha, Artharto, Jnani, and then Bhakta. So, there's person who's wanting something, also go to the Lord. One who's in distress, go to the Lord. So, they are the 4 types of people who come. So, now the Lord is saying that they come to me, they do devotional service. Coming to the Lord means what? They take up my worship or my aradhana, my the bhajante maam, like they glorify me, they worship me. So Krishna is saying, Krishna kahe ama bhaje. So Krishna is saying, people worship me, ama bhaje. But what do they ask for? Mange vishaya sukh. So they want only material happiness. Vishaya, visha or poison or vishaya is also of the worldly things. So mange vishaya sukh. Amruta chadi vishumange. So they give up this amruta chadi. Chadi is giving up. So amruta or the nectar they don't want, but they want wish. So can you think of a situation where there is amruta and wish, and then you did all of it, you finally reach there, and then you choose wish. So it is so unfortunate we are. That is how our pravriti is. And that is very well depicted in this particular pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, where he is asking for wish. but then he's giving up the Amrita Chedi, and he is realizing it now. This particular verse, Dhruva Maharaj is realizing. Ye bada murk, Amrita Chedi Vishumange, ye bada murk. So in Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is being said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying is, they are big fools. They don't know what to ask for. But the Lord says, Ami Vignan. So I am intelligent. Ami Vignan. I know. So then, why should I then give them that wish? Vishaya kena diba. Why should I give Visha? I will not give. So that's what he's trying to say. And he concludes by saying, what do I give? Swacharanamrit diya Vishaya bulaya. So swa means self, charanamrit diya. So I give that. By that, what happens? Vishaya bhulaya. So they forget the wish. So that's what happened with Dhruva Maharaj also, no? So it goes like this. This is, of course, in Bengali. Krishna kahe ama bhaje, mange vishaya sukh, amrita chadi vishumange, ye bada murk. So this is our position. But the Lord, he says, ami vignan vishaya kena dibha, swacharanamrita diya vishaya bulaya. So I give this Vignan, because I am intelligent, I will not give Vishaya, but I will give him Charanamrit. By giving Charanamrit, then Charanamrit is a mercy of the Lord. So that's the touching of the conch shell to Dhruva Maharaj in this case. So where they forget the wish or the poison, they forget. They don't want it anymore. So, or it looks like very mundane thing. They realize. So that is self-realization. So in this way, we can understand and we can take heart that the Lord will protect us even if we go with the wrong intention or wrong desire. Not intention, wrong desire. So we're not supposed to. So it's not necessary that I have to purify myself. I have to have the right type of knowledge. Now I should not ask for this, that, blah, blah, blah. We try to mentally make up our mind in this way and then go to the Lord and then do. Of course, yeah, that's our austerity, that's our sadhana, that is good. But even, that is what is expected. But even if we don't do that, even if we have some contamination, if we don't know completely, we are not fully convinced, maybe we are convinced to some extent. This is all the degrees of conviction that has happened to us individually. Some of us are just 4 or 5% convinced about all this truth. Some of us a little bit more, 20, 30%. Somebody is 40, somebody is 50. So Prabhupada says, even at 70%, then I'll take you back. That's assurance. You don't even have to be 100%. In another context, he was saying. So you just become pure 70%, I'll ensure that you're back. That's like each one is adding their mercy and then giving it to us. So we just have to realize why they are doing this, because they want to distribute mercy. So they are in the mood of the Lord. So the Lord also is like that. Ami Vignan, Vishaya Kena Dibba. Why should I give you this? The father also, no? The child goes and asks something. Then the father realizes it's not good. He will not give it. So he is not like the shopkeeper. The demigods are like the shopkeepers. So even a small child goes with the money, he gives the money, he will give him either liquor or cigarette or whatever the child asks. He is not going to wonder what the child is going to do. Why should I give? Should I give or not give? He doesn't get into all those things. It's only the father who gets in. So that is where the transaction level understanding is there with the shopkeeper, whereas the next level of understanding is the understanding of emotional or with love or with concern, with a relationship. When there is a relationship and there is some interaction going on, then it will not be that Vishaya. Even if we ask for something that is not to be asked, then the Lord takes care of it. Like how a father took care of it when we were all young, and all fathers continue to do that. So of course, the Lord is the Supreme Father, so he definitely does that. So where did all the small fathers get this particular aspect from? We got it from the Supreme Lord only. So this is one thing that is very heartening to know. And then we know that he is Yogakshema Vahamyaham. And that a perfect example of that we are seeing here. And then if you look at the next shloka, then there Maitreya Muni is saying, what is Maitreya Muni saying actually here? He is saying, he is speaking to Vidura, we all know that. And then he is saying, Vidura, but persons like you who are very pure devotees of the Lord, of Mukunda, the one who gives liberation, and who are always attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, who's always satisfied in serving the lotus feet of the Lord, such individuals, in any condition of life, they will be remaining satisfied, like how you are satisfied in any condition of life, and you never ask for material prosperity. So this is a wonderful example, because he's saying, look at you, my dear Vidura, persons like you. Why he is saying Vidura, persons like you? Because Vidura, what was the situation of Vidura at that point when this meeting happened with Maitreya Rishi? He was actually asked to leave the palace. So he gave up all his royal life, all the things associated to aristocracy. He gave up, and then he walked out because he was insulted by Duryodhan. So we know that particular situation. Then after coming out, then he said, let me do visiting of all the holy places he undertook. And then when he was doing that, then he meets Maitreya, because he first met Uddhava, and then Uddhava said that I will not be able to discuss what transpired between me and Krishna, but Maitreya was also there when this conversation happened. It will be more relevant if you could meet him, seek him out, meet him. He's somewhere here, he tells him. Then he leaves. Uddhava leaves. Then Vidura immediately goes there in his journey. Then he goes and then seeks out Maitreya Rishi, and then they have this conversation. And that is what Shrimad Bhagavatam, many cantos, many chapters are this discussion between Maitreya and Vidura. Very important conversation. So time and again you will see verses like this which come up where Maitreya is continuing, and then he is saying that Vidura, persons like you are like this. So he's comparing. So now saying that you on one side don't have any desire, and that's a pure devotee. That's the lakshana of a pure devotee. And then you're satisfied, and then you don't ask for any material things. But even if you ask for material things, or if somebody else is asking for material things, then what happens is what is being discussed here. And we saw that in detail just now. So there is another shloka in Shrimad Bhagavatam, which is very relevant. I think it's good to mention that. So what does that say? Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udharadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. So this is shloka is in the second canto, third chapter, verse number 10. So there, if you read the purport and the translation, where it says that you can go to the Lord with any type of desire, a desire not to have any desire, that is desireless situation, you can go to the Lord. Or you can go to the Lord with all desires. Or you can go to the Lord with the desire of liberation. But when you go to him with Tivra Bhakti Yoga, and when you have this broad view of things, then automatically your purification will happen. Means you can go with any of these intentions, but then the Lord takes care and then he purifies it, because you are going with a broad view. The broad view is about, you go to Krishna because Krishna is all in all. That's the broad view. He is Isha-vasyam idam sarvam. And that udharadi, that means udhara means it's a very broad intelligence. What is the broad intelligence? That about intelligence about permanence and about temporariness, intelligence about how everything belongs to the Lord. That is Isha-vasyam idam sarvam. And then how I am Anu, he is Vibhu, and there is a relationship. So when we have this broad intelligence, when we look at it from a broad view and not from a narrow view of self-ego, me, mine, this is mine, this is my family, that's a narrow vision. So this is a broad intelligence is the opposite of that, which is the intelligence which encompasses the aspect of how the Lord created everything and the position of the Lord. So when we have that broad intelligence, then the Lord takes care. So Dhruva actually went because his mother said, go to Krishna, only Krishna, the Supreme, can help us in this situation. No one else can, because the king himself did not help. So the king of the land is not able to help, then the next best person is the Supreme Lord, the king of everything. So you go to him. So in that kind of broad view, Dhruva went, and then even though he had some material desires, some kama desires were there, but the Lord purified it. So by this, what we can understand, one more interesting thing that comes out, it very clearly establishes the fact that bhakti is supreme. It can take care of everything. It's like how the sun's rays are so powerful and strong that it can purify anything it falls on. In the same way, this aspect of bhakti, even if it is contaminated or it is done with some kalmasha, with some bhakti means without any desire, and then doing it with intensity without any desire. So the only desire is to serve the Lord and nothing more. And that is bhakti by definition, you use the word. But there is also this Mishra Bhakti, that is mixed bhakti, which means that there are some desires and all of that. So even with Mishra Bhakti, then the purification happens. So it is so powerful. So if you go with, when you do pure bhakti, then how much more powerful it's going to be, you can visualize. So the Lord is merciful for that because you are going to the Lord. And what is bhakti then? How do we do bhakti? So we know that. Then we do bhakti, Navavidha Bhakti. So what are the 9 ways in which one can do bhakti to the Lord? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So these are the 9 ways, so wonderfully told by Prahlad Maharaj. And then we discuss it many times. You would have heard this. So Shravanam and Kirtanam and Vishnu Smaranam. So 1 or 2, any one you do itself is more than enough for liberation. So in this way, you have a choice which you can choose and then try to do bhakti that pleases the Lord. And bhakti is a path which is so purifying, and then it is so superior, that even if there are some small unnecessary things, because that's our pravriti, so our nature is like that. We may not be totally pure, but we continue to do. That's why you might have said, initially when you came to the movement, they would say, never mind chant. I have some desires. It's okay, you chant. It looked like, for everything, these people say only one thing, chant. What is this chanting? But chanting is actually bhakti yoga, because in chanting, how we are expected to do, we are supposed to do Shravanam and then Kirtanam. So we listen to what we are saying, and then Kirtana is like glorifying the Lord. Here also we are taking the Lord's name. And in this frame of mind, we are supposed to do the chanting. So that frame of mind may not be 100% pure, but still continue to do the chanting because it purifies. So the link, sometimes, you hear like, they always say chant. And chant is actually bhakti yoga. We are encouraging people to do bhakti yoga. And that encouragement is done. Sometimes it might feel like, oh, it's okay, everything will be taken care of. Do it. That is just to encourage them to do. Like some small child, we might say, no, it's okay, it is very sweet, you can eat it and all. But then some amount of bitterness will come later on. But they'll say it's okay. And then try to coax and cajole that particular child to take it, so that they know that in the long run that is good for the child. So in the same way, here also the devotees try to do that. So there are many ways in which we can do devotional service. So we saw that, we have an idea. And then we continue to do our devotional service with the assurance that the Lord takes care. And that is what we are seeing in this thing. And then how the Lord makes us to realize things. Like how he made the realization happen for Dhruva Maharaj. He realized it. And then in that way, he helps us to realize. And that is the mercy of the Lord. And that's the aspect that we should never forget. And then what happened next is that you see, and then of course the other example of Vidura is also taken. It is informed by our Maitreya Rishi is saying how this is very important, that you are the one, you are different because you are doing seva or you're doing bhakti without any this thing. You're totally attached to the Lord and you don't desire anything, so you have not asked for material things. So that is an aspect that is coming out there. And then we move on to the next verse, which talks about how the news reaches the king. And this is when the news reached the king, King Uttanapada. Of course, he became very happy. But then he was very doubtful. He thought, see, he is also having some repentance in this particular verse, if you see. He was doubtful. Do you think I'm so fortunate that all these such good things are happening to me? I made a mistake, and because of that, I had to sacrifice my son, which means that he went away and I don't know where he is and all that. So that kind of anxiety was what he was in those months. And then we know that how Narad Muni came in between and told him not to worry, your son will come back and all of that. But then he didn't have much faith. Maybe he's just telling to console me. I'm not very sure, kind of a thing. So anyway, the son was also not there. Dhruva was not there. So he was in anxiety. He was distressed. And then he was also repenting. He considered himself wretched. he considered himself the most wretched, and therefore he thought it was not possible for him to attain such a good fortune. How can I? Do I really deserve it? And that is repentance. And so some purification happened for Uttanapad there also. The moment he hears that Dhruva is coming back, then he begins to doubt. But then he also had the intelligence to realize that though he could not believe the messenger who came and told him that Dhruva is on his way back, but he had full faith in the words of the great sage Narada, who had told him earlier that he will come back. So, even though there was some doubt, he became overwhelmed by the news. So, he accepted that. So, with faith, he accepted it. And he immediately offered, he rewarded the messenger, whoever came in to tell him that boy Dhruva is on his way back. So that messenger was benedicted, or he was given like a king. No? He gave him that necklace. So that is what we see in the next verse. So these are activities that are happening, but then we also are trying to take a look at what's happening in their minds and then how they are viewing it. And that's important. So we see that there is a lot of repentance that has happened for Uttanapad, and there is enthusiasm, and then he wants his son back, and then he realizes the mistake that he had done. And then he's happy about the fact that his son is coming back. So there is naturally eagerness that is there, evident on the king. And then in that eagerness, he is to go and face his lost son. He sets out, he moves out of the palace, and then he starts moving towards the forest or the path, and then meet him halfway or whatever. So he mounts the chariot, and then drawn by excellent horses, and then, his aristocracy. So all those descriptions are given where it is bedecked with a lot of things there, filigrees, golden ones. I don't know what they are. But anyway, so it's all decked up, and then he's going there. Then he is not going alone. That's another interesting thing. He's taking with him all learned brahmanas, all the elderly personalities of his family, and then his family, that is his wife, both the wives, and then the other son, then his officers, his ministers, his immediate friends, all of them are going. So there's a procession that goes out to meet as the type of reception that they want to give Dhruva Maharaja, because he's coming back. And then they immediately leave the city. And then as he proceeded in this parade, there was auspicious sound. So people who were blowing the conch, the kettle drums, the flutes, the chanting of Vedic mantras, all these auspicious things they want to be surrounded by, so that it brings in auspiciousness, and then the auspiciousness remains. So it's always good to have these things. So the blowing of conch shell, the kettle drums, the flutes, and then the chanting of the Vedic mantras, all of that is an indication of the good fortune that is there. So now a regular king in the material world, he goes out to meet somebody, and then his expression of love, all of this is not to show off, see, I'm coming to meet you with all of that. That's no way that we understand these things, This is another exchange of love that is being expressed by the king because his son is coming. And then he wants to meet him with all the best of the things, Sometimes, when I think it was in the 90s and all that, like when the children, when they were coming back from the US, so there used to be a welcoming party and all of that. Today, they are not so much out of touch. So because of WhatsApp, because of video calls and all of that. So it's just like continuation, in fact. So, but then in the earlier days, when such facilities were still not there, it was a big event that the son is coming back, or the daughter is coming back, or the family is coming back. So they used to go and then welcome them. There used to be a welcome party. So welcome party generally will be like they'll take their friend or their relative, or somebody else will join, and then they'll go. Probably they'll go with some garland and all that. So that kind of a thing. So welcoming is an expression of love. And another aspect that is there is that when the king moves around like this with all his attendants and all of that, even the Lord is like that. Where did this come from? Because Krishna is like that. Parshadas, he is always with his Parshadas, with his near and dear people who are very dear to him. He's always with his devotees. So even when he comes down, when he is taking an avatar, we have to understand that he doesn't come alone. He comes with his Parshadas, with all his people who are close to him, who are friends, who are parents. So somebody comes to play the role of a parent. Somebody comes to play the role of friend, somebody comes to play the role of lover, somebody else like that, so and somebody comes to just facilitate things. So in the Dhasya Bhav. So all types of that Parshadas who are there with the king, like how the king now went with friends, officers, and of course servants, everybody was there. So he doesn't travel alone. So like that, the Lord also doesn't travel alone, is a point I just wanted to bring out here. So in this way, we can understand how when sometimes they'll say, oh, when Krishna's Avatara happened, then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then all the Parshadas were there that time also. We know Nityananda Prabhu was there, then Advaita, Acharya, Srivas, I mean, all of them, and then Murari Gupta, so he's the incarnation of Hanuman. So they all took their positions to help the Lord in the pastime, and then, as a team, then everything, like a drama troupe, the troupe doesn't go alone, like, all the paraphernalia, everything comes, the Lord also comes like that, with the whole setup, and then he does his pastimes, and then he goes. So this is this is an expression of two things. One is to show the grandeur of the spiritual place. So he says, you don't know what you all are missing. See, this is what it is, like a trailer. And then he's showing. And then he's showing all of this so that they develop a desire to go back to Krishna. And developing the desire to go back to Krishna, he is doing that out of love for them. So he wants all of us back. So he keeps doing all these pastimes. He keeps doing all these avatars keep happening. And then he's encouraging, coaxing, cajoling us so that, we develop this desire to get back to him. And when we develop the desire, then he will mercifully touch us in many ways, in his own ways, by glance or through another devotee or through the guru, or he guides us in such a way. So he can do it in any way. But then the end result is the same, where there is realization that happens, and then by his mercy, and then we start moving towards him. Okay, it may not happen in a second, but it might, in a moment, but it might happen over a period of time, because he is still giving us that allowance so that we still continue to enjoy the material things, because we are not desiring 100%. We have some desire to go. So he is also giving something. Whereas there are other desires also of material things. So he has to fulfill that also. So actually he's got a very difficult job, because we are a very complicated personalities. We all are. So we want this as well as that, So in this way, the Lord is just waiting, and then he is doing many things so that we develop this desire to get back to him. And by reading these chapters, these verses, and understanding what the acharyas are saying, we can also slowly, at least me, so some of you, maybe you will develop very quickly, but for me, then step by step, develop this attachment to Krishna, and that attachment is what is going to save us. So on that note, I'll stop here. Of course, then what happened after the procession, after they went, how they met, and what transpired, all that will happen in the subsequent verses, which you all have the good fortune to listen to, but I don't have. So I'll stop here. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, and then it's pranams. And if there are any comments or anything that you want to ask for today, you can do that. So in summary, what we discussed was about the repentance of Dhruva Maharaj. After he was benedicted, then he realized, and that realization happened by the mercy of the Lord, and that's why we saw that background thing a little bit in detail because of that. And then we also saw how Vidura and Maitreya's, that one verse inclusion there, where he said that you are not like that. So he's comparing the desire, person with desire and person without desire. And then also we saw that shloka which talked about udhara, where broad-mindedness needed, which is the aspect of understanding the position of ourselves in the Lord. So we discussed that, and then the conversation shifted to Uttanpada's tent, where we saw how there was some repentance from his side also. And because of that, then he, out of love, then he sets out to meet. And then when he goes out, he goes with his whole entourage. And that is how the Lord also moves about. So all great personalities move about like that. And that's coming from the Lord. So we connected everything to Krishna, and I stop here. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Wonderful class. Devotees, anybody has any questions? Yeah, Suma Mataji, you can ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranams.
Hare
Prabhuji, I'm finding it very difficult, Prabhuji, because I came to Bhakti with a desire, Prabhuji, in my heart, like to ask something from the Lord. and certain things have gone. I mean, I can feel that I had so many desires, many desires have gone, but certain desires are still there. So what can I understand, Prabhuji? Because many other Matajis, when my own sister is there, so when we talk about you should ask only, then the Lord gives. So I just say that no, let me not ask. God knows everything. So in that way, I'll just skip that, Prabhuji. But what that Mataji says is you should ask only if you ask God, whether he gives it or not, only then it is in his hands. So he will decide. So you should ask. So like that she says. So I'm not able to understand, Prabhuji, how to go about. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So the way I understood your question correctly, both are right. You ask also it is correct. You don't ask also it is correct. It's not like this is wrong, this is right. Because it depends on our maturity level or the intensity with which we are attached to something. See, now there are certain things that even if we don't ask, it is all right because we can, on our own, with the empowerment or with the strength that is given to us by the Lord, on our own, we are able to tide over it. Some of them are not like that. Some of them, the attachment is so strong that we can't overcome it ourselves. We need help. It's like climbing steps of various sizes, Some steps we can manage on our own as we age. Certain other steps, we just reach out, hold out our hand, and then somebody holds it, and then we still do it, but then we take the help. So like that, it depends on the desire and then to what extent we are attached. So some of it, yeah, you don't have to ask, oh yeah, I think I can handle this because it's a small desire I had, but it's taken care, I'm convinced, and then move on. But certain desires are not like that. They are very intense and it affects our sadhana, it affects our bhakti, and then it plays on our mind so much. Then you will have to employ that other one, which your sister was saying. Maybe you have to do that. I mean, I'm not saying you should do that, but maybe you have to do that then. So we'll have to look at it in that broad perspective. I'm sorry, I'm disappointing you. I cannot say you should ask or you should not ask, but then it depends on the desire. And then it is situational. I hope you get that point. So you are the best judge on whether it should go like this or not. And if you're not, and you feel very strongly about that attachment and it is hampering your other things, then you reach out to your counselors, your guru, and then see this is what is happening. And then you take that call based on what they say. Because even at that point, nowhere I am going to decide for myself. You are going to allow the senior to decide for you. So that itself is a surrender. So there are many such aspects. So even if the intention is wrong, the path that we choose will purify us. So when we go through in this way, I hope you got it, what I'm saying. Even though it looks like the most obvious thing that, yeah, now I think it's so intense, so let me ask, and then you start asking, no, but then you discuss, and then if they say, okay, maybe if it's so intense, then maybe you should continue that. They might say, because they will be able to. And then, because then we are surrendered to them and then seeking out a solution from them, that itself is purification for us rather than deciding on our own. So anywhere deciding on the own has to be discouraged, and then take counsel from proper authority. Proper authority means if you're initiated, you're aligned to somebody, or even if you're not initiated but trying to be initiated, then you're aligned to someone. So reaching out there, that becomes proper authority. So I hope it clarifies for you. I don't know.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I just want to say something about this, Prabhuji. When I had the initially when I was praying to the Lord, my consciousness was like I was disappointed with the Lord for blessing me with such things, Prabhuji. So, but later now when I see that consciousness has changed, like I do not regret or anything, because I know that supreme consciousness, what he's doing is good for my best only and for my daughter's best only. But somehow, Prabhuji, when I go and pray and for the Lord to bless that same thing, Prabhuji, because only when I pray that, because my daughter comes and keep asking, Prabhuji, as a mother, I cannot, like Yashoda Maya always protected the Lord in all these difficult situations. So my daughter is having vision in only one eye. So whenever she comes from the school and she says that, oh, mama, I can't see, she will ask me to do like this and do like that. So as a mother, I cannot take that, Prabhuji. So So whenever she asks, I will be happy only and content only with whatever God has given, because I can understand, because if He had blessed with her both the eyes, she would not even attempt to go to the Lord and pray to the Lord. Now He has made her helpless, so that in that state, so she will go to the Lord. So whenever I ask and pray, Prabhuji, at that same moment itself, why should I should not have prayed? But at the same time, as a mother, what I'm doing is not right. Also, I should always be praying and to the Lord to bless with vision to her. So it's like that, Prabhuji. So as you said, Prabhuji, I'll just consult senior devotees and I take the help from them, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
But how can I do that also, Prabhuji? Like,
See, Mataji, actually, you are already convinced, but then it is not 100% because our material cravings, or materially we have in our mind certain things of what is ideal, what is nice, what will make me happy. So we are so convinced about it that anything, any aberration, any change from that puts us in imbalance, all of us. So this mind is there with us. And then we are also convinced about the Lord. So now we are just trying to kind of make both work together. So which is quite natural. It is not wrong. Nobody can say that it is wrong, because that's how we make our progress. And that's how Dhruva Maharaj made his progress. It's a very wonderful example today. So there are some shortcomings which will be there because of our karma. So we need to be more convinced about the Lord and the Lord's arrangement of things for me, and then how it is in His own good. So we have to surrender, and then we'll have to then do the effort. So saying that, Lord, you know what is best for me. If you think this position can be changed, it is okay. Otherwise, if this is what I deserve, then so be it. Either way, I am okay with this. But please ensure that this doesn't disturb my devotional service to you, is one form of prayer which I'm sure the Lord will definitely hear out, and then reciprocate accordingly based on what is best for us. So here we are not praying for this or that, but we are saying that whatever it is, just protect my devotional service, because I'm too agitated or I get confused. So please help me with that. So then He will remove that confusion. He'll make us stronger. Maybe this situation might continue, or the situation might change, and thereby then the transformation will happen within. So how it happens is very speculative for us, because we won't know that. But then the faith has to become stronger. That's for not just you, for all of us. All of us are in the same boat. So you will have to keep this also in mind, and then move ahead or continue to do what you're doing. And there's one thing that you can always ask. You can ask for devotional service, and that's a prayer. That's what I think, Prahlad Maharaj said that. He says, I didn't want anything. You think I prayed, I did all this for you so that you'll give me something? Is that kind of a conversation they have. And then finally he says, if at all you still want to benedict me, or if I have to ask you something, then I will ask you this. And then he says, let there never be a time where I will forget you, or I will not be serving you. That kind of a benediction he asks. So that's another indication of what we should ask also. So you will have to put all this in your mind, and then see how you figure out what is the right thing to do, and then go ahead and then do it. We all are still working not with our heart, with our minds, with our intelligence. So
yes,
we'll have to do that. Yeah. I
it's
hope
not you. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the guidance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Meenakshi Mataji, you can ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, with regard to what Mataji said, in some cases where we have very troubling thoughts, or such situations where we are not able to handle on our own, is it okay if we write a journal, or put down our thoughts to God? I have had this practice, and I found to be very useful, Prabhuji. Like whenever there are any tensions, because we are all mothers and we always keep thinking about something, and that often hampers our sadhana, as you said. So what I try to do is, whenever something is troubling me, I have a special book for that, where I write Hare Krishna and write it out, whatever I'm feeling, whatever it might be. I put out my true thoughts there, and then I tell to Krishna, I've given it to you now, you please take care, so that this doesn't affect my sadhana. Is that okay, Prabhuji?
Nothing difficult to answer, but I will give it another view to it. See, it is like we have a headache. So if I sleep for 5 minutes, then I get some relief. So it's like that, you know. So maybe it is like that. I'm not saying it is like that. But still the headache has to be taken care. So we'll have to go to the doctor. So you have to follow that process. So the process of connecting, the process of that has to happen, because maybe it reappears again. Maybe this writing helps you at that point. Then after that, again, after maybe a couple of months or after a few days or whatever it is, again, it reappears. So maybe again you have to do. So maybe we end up trying to lead lives where we are just trying to like the band-aid kind of a treatment that is happening, and then we are moving on, which is good. I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, because it gives some relief. But then we'll also have to, we know the process, we know the procedure, we know alignment to the Guru is more important, and Krishna looks for that instead of directly approaching the Lord and all of that. So we will have to somewhere practice that level of devotion also, that level of surrender also.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
I hope it answers.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Shall I
Krishna.
ask you one more question, Prabhuji? Not in this regard, Prabhuji. Is it okay, Mataji? Hare Krishna, I'm sorry.
We have time unless Prabhuji is okay doing that.
Yeah, you can ask the question. If I can answer, I'll answer. Otherwise, I'll say no.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, like the yogis worship, I am not able to understand this. The yogis worship the Paramatma feature of the Lord. No, Prabhuji, so is it not the same Paramatma that they are going and asking, Prabhuji?
Yeah, when they
The
worship
Paramatma that Vishnu form, is it the same that the Paramatma that Vishnu form with 400 form, who is residing in our heart? The yogis are worshipping that.
Yes.
So is it to that Vishnu they all approached, Prabhuji? They all approached that Vishnu?
Yes, the same expansion called as Shirodakasai Vishnu, who is there in all the living entities as Paramatma, he is also lying in the Kshirosagar in each of the Brahmanda. And where, so they approach that. So it is that Shirodakasai Vishnu. So that's what we were trying to say. So the demigods also go there. They don't go to Garbhodakasai Vishnu, they go to Shirodakasai Vishnu. That's what we are trying to say. Now, how it happens, whether they go there or they pray in the heart, I think probably depends on intensity and he will take it. So either way. But yes, there is an personality who's actually sleeping in the Shira. Samudra, where the demigods go. And that is what we had seen. Even Krishna's birth happened like that only, where Mother Earth went to Brahma, and then Brahmaji with the other demigods, with Mother Earth, they all went to this Shirodakasai Vishnu. So that's what I just mentioned. Now, the yogis, they don't meditate on this form lying on this thing, because then that is the personality of the Lord comes in. But then the yogis who practice this yoga, they try to see the Lord within them. So there's a slight difference there.
Yes, Prabhuji, I got it. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Pranams.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for such a long class and a lovely class, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Can we end the class with prayers?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can we end the class with prayers?
Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you.
Grantaraj Bhagavatam.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. I'll end the class.
And thank you so much. Just forgive me if I have offended you unknowingly by saying something which was not in tune to what you were thinking. So kindly forgive that.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare